NIST Cloud Computing Reference Architecture, which is your NIST, not this one, is going to be NIST Special Publication 500-92, which is defining who will be the part or the different roles in the cloud itself. So NIST Cloud Computing Reference Architecture, it helps to identify roles and responsibilities in the cloud. So this special publication 592, it express 5 roles: cloud consumer, cloud provider, cloud broker, cloud auditor, and cloud carrier. So this cloud computing reference architecture help you to accurately communicate the component and offering the cloud computing. What we will focus on are the guiding principle on the basis of the cloud actor that has been defined over here. So this is where they have defined this in the cloud consumer platform. So first is, let's just understand cloud consumer itself. So this is a person that is going to maintain that business relationship with the cloud service provider like Azure, and going to use the services from that Azure or AWS. So it could be an organization, a user, anyone. Now, in simple term, the cloud consumer is kind of your, what we call it, principal stakeholder of the cloud computing service, and is going to represent either a whole organization or that work with the cloud provider and consume that service. So like Lakshminarayan is working with the GCPs. Lakshminarayan is also a cloud consumer, and Lakshminarayan is representing his own organization. Another point that the service provided and consumed by the, how you're consuming. One thing you have to keep in mind: we are consuming the service via a service catalog. I hope the spelling will be right. Okay, so via a service catalog, we will be consuming these services over here. Then there is going to be the cloud consumer. Okay, so what you need is a service level agreement. So when you are consuming the services, so the consumer need a service level agreement to very specifically specifying what are going to be the technical performance requirement that is going to fulfill by the your cloud service provider. So SLA, those will be covering the terms regarding the what kind of services you are going to get, quality of the service, quantity of the service. Why I'm saying quantity? If you will be looking into the VPN service, they define what is going to be the range and speed and all those kind of a thing. Okay, the securities and the remedies, all those things will be defined on the SLA. So you will be consuming services according to the service level agreement itself. Now the cloud provider. Now after this, what we have something like the cloud provider itself. So what is the cloud provider is the person or organization or even an entity that is responsible for making this service available to anyone who is interested in consuming their services itself. Mostly the cloud consumer will be interested, right? So that is going to be that particular part that what we are discussing here. That is with the your cloud provider. So cloud provider, it is going to what? It is going to acquire and manage your computing infrastructure. So these are the person who is responsible for physical building, physical server, purchasing them, and run the cloud software that is going to provide you the cloud services, developing that platform and everything. Now, responsibility will be changing with the responsibility changes according to the service, right? So what we mean by this is, according to service means we are talking simply like whether you are consuming SaaS. So in the SaaS, so in the SaaS, your cloud service provider is going to get more of the what will you say more of the responsibility with the service provider, right? So they are going to maintain service, they are managing, controlling application infrastructure, while you as a consumer will be just simply going to put your data and over there and how to access it. So cloud consumer, as a cloud consumer, you are always going to be responsible for your data, but you are going to have limited administrative control over there. So that's why the with the SaaS there is a different responsibility. Then in the PaaS environment, cloud service provider manage the computing infrastructure, platform, run the cloud software that provide the you know your tools such as integrated IDEs, integrated development environment, and other software like database application which can scale up, down, then runtime environment, underlying network server, operating system, storage, all those kind of a thing are going to be managed by the cloud service provider in the past. Then there comes infrastructure as a service where you will be responsible for giving the service via the API calls, actual infrastructure, providing the raw compute and storage to your service your consumer. Here, you know, the consumer will be launching their own guest operating system, responsible for patching those things. Okay, so only thing that they are not going to manage is the hypervisor or the physical, your equipment that are inside the data center. So that is going to happen on to this particular point. Then there is going to be the something like the cloud auditor. So cloud auditor is a party who will be performing an independent examination of your cloud service control, right? And they will be having all the intent to express their opinion of the result of the audit. That's what they think about this. Now, this audit could be actually designed specifically for, you know, looking at your security control, right? So they are looking for the very specific security control. You might be checking for the privacy impact, right? That how privacy will be impacted over there. And as you were saying, SLA means you are looking for the performance, right? So I'm interested in checking the performance as well, whether they are delivering it or not. If it is security control, that auditor may be looking at them from the an operational or a management or a administrative or even a technical viewpoint as well. See if proper countermeasures has been applied or not, right? So view moving ahead, you will be seeing what when I'll be showing you something like, okay, not right now, but when we'll be looking talking about the policies and these things. So what we have, there are different ways of doing these things. Like in organization like cloud service provider, they can also hire some third party. Usually this is a very rare occasion when a cloud service provider will allow a consumer to hire a third party. Okay, very rare example would be this. Usually on the general basis, what they do is they hire the third party, okay, independent third party, and they will be examining these things for you. And like Microsoft has their own trust center, there they have updated, published those reports that what they are doing. And again, not only for that, for the different governance compliances purposes as well, that what has been there, what they found, and what is the independent report is saying regarding them. Okay, so those will be the cloud auditor. And on your end, what you can do, you can also do the audit, but that will be a limited edition. You cannot go and check the your physical locations as a services that is there for everyone. You can only test out the things that is provided to you, your own infrastructures, the services that are providing by the your cloud service provider, and how and mostly that will be your infrastructures auditing that will be going on, not the cloud service providers infrastructure audit that will be going on at that point. Okay, so the different outcome is going to be a report, like where you are lacking the security. One thing is the cloud auditor will be working in the two aspect over here. So two aspects. One is going to be the role which will be there. That will be third party independent one, which will be working, which will be hired by the cloud service provider. Okay. So they will be evaluating the physical infrastructure services that is provided by them and everything. And these results, the reports, output reports of auditing, and they might be, doing performing some of the auditing based on the standards, like SOC level 1, 2, right? Those kind of auditing reports will be also there. These will be published on their trust center or their portals where you can download them. Okay. So, I'll be showing you Trust Center in a minute as well. So, you will be downloading them. You can make sure that whether it is something that you are looking for, but they are performing those kind of a things over there, right? So there is, those kind of a things. PCI DSS audit. Okay, I think there is a message from the Webber as well. I think he was trying to say it's the same thing. The SOC 2 edit CSP, similarly, ISO 271 and all these things. This is going to, they're like he's saying that PCI audit to the demonstrate that they have implemented robust security control itself on the trust center. I'll be taking you to the trust center as well, right? And there you can see such kind of a thing. Although this is not planned for right now, this trust center kind of a thing and seeing the report, but this is, always over there, that what they have implemented. And if you'll be checking their page, they always claim that we have completed the PCI DSS, we are HIPAA, you know, authorized, and all those auditing reports are always be there. This is one thing. Second, you can perform audit as well. You can hire audit and you can the infrastructure, because what they have done, they are telling you that we are following these security standards, right? But as a consumer, it is your responsibility. You are going to build your own infrastructure on top of it, right? Right. So you will be also requiring to audit that as well. They are following their own, infrastructure services. They are doing their bit. Now on that platform, you are deploying your own infrastructure. Now, is that infrastructure is following all the, having the security control, impact, performance? So a simple thing like web example that we were using. So if I'm hosting my machine in the, web machine in India, accessing it from US, there might be a latency issue. So that is performance based auditing that I'm, doing here. So my suggestion would be there should be some load balancer or traffic manager which is going to redirect you depending on the performances here. If I am working with the credit card detail, I can perform PCI DSS, your auditing on my system. Okay, and you will see you can download the template from the Microsoft's own experience, share these reports. They give you the blueprint to directly apply these things. Help of policies is going to be in there, and then tools like the cloud security posture management, which will be helping you to check out that whether you are, compliant to any of the standard audit over there or not. Okay, right. So this is something. Now, as we were discussing, these cloud auditors, they can make assessment of security control in the information system, determining that the extent to which your controls are implemented correctly and operating in a way that it should be. Okay, then there will be a privacy, you can do what like I was talking. So you can have security control audit, privacy impact and performance. In the privacy impact audit kernel, it could help your federal agency, local agency, national agency in compliance with applicable privacy law and regulation governing any individual's privacy, right? And it could also be helpful not only for those agencies but also for the consumer to understand that what level of compliance are followed by the my cloud service provider, and help us to understand whether they are compliant or not. So that will be all depending on the report of this cloud auditor. Then there is going to be the cloud broker and the carrier. So okay, why this, okay, if you'll be looking into this special publication 500 to 92, It is a very later after that NIST standard publication 143. Why it is was updated later with the rules is with the time complexity of your cloud environment is increasing. So we were talking about the multi-cloud and all those kind of a thing. Services are evolving as well. Now it is very necessary for us to consult with a cloud broker. So that cloud broker will be helping us to manage the use, the performance, and the delivery of the cloud service. And it can negotiate the relationship between the cloud provider and the cloud consumer. Okay. So generally there are going to be the three way in which there you can consume these services or use the services of a cloud broker. So there is going to be the your first one is going to be your service intermediation. Service intermediation. So in this one, this is where your cloud broker help to enhance any services. So my AWS is providing any service, and it can help to enhance that service use. All right, by our services by improving very specific capability and providing some value added service to the cloud consumer. This improvement can be managing access to the cloud service or identity management or even some performance reporting itself. Now, second thing would be the service aggregation. So this is where your cloud broker will be combining and integrating multiple services into one or more service, as name is suggesting. So what cloud broker, it provide the data integration and then make sure that the data is secure while moving between the cloud consumer and possibly between the multi-cloud provider in the multi-cloud environment. Right, like I was talking about the your aviatrix. So it can from a single glass pane help you to create network, help you to create VPN, define their bandwidth, and then making sure that it is following all the encryption policy that it should be. Right, these things should be properly followed over there. So this is going to be the part of work of the service integration itself. Then third is going to be the service arbitrage. Now this will be something like your where the your cloud service that broker is providing you some third party tool. So let's say that what it is doing, it knows that your requirement is different, someone else's requirement is different. So let's say that it is consuming the service from the broker is in between your cloud consumer and your cloud service provider. So from service provider, it is consuming the infrastructure as a service, but to the consumer it is providing the software as a service, right? That is a kind of a thing which will be service arbitrage. So if I will define this thing, this is where your services is just an aggregation and made available except that the service being aggregated, they are not going to be fixed service. So cloud broker has the capability of arbitraging the services so that there is flexibility to choose from the multiple agencies. So you can choose from this cloud service provider, this one. So whatever is happening in the background, you don't know that, right? So you are taking, let's say, one service from the AWS as a infrastructure as a service and providing to your consumer as a software as a service. So your cloud service provider has that option that it can go ahead and work around with the different solution over there. So these things are going to be the part where we are talking about this service arbitrage over there, right? So this is the cloud broker. Okay, different way that it can work. Then last thing is the your cloud carrier. So it is the primary intermediary bit that provide connectivity and transport the cloud service between cloud consumer and cloud service provider. So it this carrier, it provide the access to the consumer through what network telecommunication and other devices. For example, it could be by mean of a smart device, by IoT, by the laptop, by the computer, mobile phone that are being to used to consume these services in the cloud. So this thing, this is that broad access network that what we were discussing, right? That BROM. So this is the give you the provide access to consume, okay, what is it? Consume through network telecommunication. We can define it something like that, a process, right? Now, the relationship that is going to manage between a provider and the actual cloud carrier is also done, they will be also having, if you are having a private cloud, you are the one who is working for Azure or AWS, there is going to be the service level agreement between both of you, cloud carrier and you as well. And there are going to be some times, okay, Vaibhav is working in the auditing, so he will be more familiar that there might be sometime will be interesting constraint and issue that could come up in the that the consumer, if I'm a consumer, I would also want some transparency that what is the relationship between the cloud service provider and the carrier, right? How they are communicating and sending the data, like I'm using express route, so how if in India, using the third service provider, like I can use Airtel, Vodafone as my cloud service provider, so they will be connecting me to that private network of the Microsoft. So what is the communication, because my data is still traveling through the Airtel is in between. So what is the your what I would say, what is the relationship between you two? I also want to know for the auditing purpose or for the making sure that you are following all the rules. So in many cases, the cloud carriers are nowadays becoming themselves the cloud service provider, or vice versa, cloud service provider becoming the your your cloud carrier itself, right? So these kind of thing is happening, and very specifically because Lakshmi I gave us the example of China, right? So there you will be seeing this thing happening very often. Cloud service provider become the your cloud carrier as well, right? That kind of thing is always going to be there. So in the network architecture, these five things are there, and these are the very important thing.